The awakening edge. The starfall emerged from the quantum fold like a phantom, sleek, menacing, and impossibly black against the starfield. Its hull absorbed light rather than reflected it, making it appear as a vessel-shaped void moving silently through space. On the command deck, Captain Ilara Voss stood with her hands clasped behind her back, green eyes fixed on the main viewport where a distant planetary system gleamed. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the weight pressing down on her shoulders. The weight of humanity's final hope. "Quantum fold transition complete, Captain," Lieutenant Commander Cade Rice reported from the navigation console. "All systems nominal. Stealth field operating at maximum efficiency. The Iris drive is stable," added Dr. Amira Dawn, the ship's chief scientist. Her fingers danced across her console, adjusting parameters only she fully understood. "Core temperature optimal. We can initiate another fold in 18 minutes if necessary." Ilara nodded, permitting herself a small breath of relief. The starfall represented humanity's most advanced technological achievement, and their last desperate gamble. 3 years ago, the first Nyx vessels had appeared at the edge of the solar system. Within 6 months, Mars and the outer colonies lay in ruins. Within a year, Earth's orbital defenses had been reduced to floating debris. The Nyx Collective, as they called themselves, possessed technology centuries beyond human capabilities, or so everyone thought. "Long-range scans," Ilara ordered. The tactical officer, Lieutenant Maya Chen, activated the ship's quantum imaging system. Unlike conventional sensors that emitted detectable energy, the QIS passively observed distortions in subatomic particles, giving the starfall unprecedented observational capabilities without revealing its position. "I'm detecting a Nyx fleet formation, Captain," Chen reported, her voice tight. 7 destroyer-class vessels, and what appears to be a command carrier. They're in standard orbital pattern around Proxima Centauri. Ilara studied the holographic display showing the enemy formation. The Nyx ships resembled massive crystalline structures, their geometric perfection both beautiful and terrifying. Each destroyer was capable of devastating an entire continent. The command carrier could glass a planet. "Are they detecting us?" she asked. "Negative," Chen replied. "Their sensor sweeps are passing right through our position." Ilara turned to face her senior officers gathered around the command table. Each had been selected from among Earth's best, those who had survived the initial assault and proven themselves in the desperate years that followed. "This is it," she said simply. "Everything we've worked for. Operation Starfall begins now." Commander Isaac Torres, her XO, stepped forward. The right side of his face bore the scars of a Nyx energy weapon, a reminder of their first disastrous battle against the aliens at Jupiter. "The crew is ready, Captain," he said, "but I should remind you that we've never tested the Prometheus protocol in actual combat. Simulations show a 62% chance of success, but that also means a 38% chance of catastrophic failure." Ilara finished for him. "I'm aware of the odds, Commander. We all are." She turned to Dr. Dawn. "How long until the Prometheus system is ready for deployment?" "The gravitational lens requires 23 minutes to achieve perfect alignment once we're in optimal position," Amira answered. "We'll need to hold position within 2,000 kilometers of the calculated focal point." Ilara studied the tactical display again. "That puts us well within their sensor range, even with our stealth systems." "Yes," Amira confirmed. "Once we begin the final approach, we'll have approximately 3 minutes before they detect our presence." Silence fell over the bridge as the implications sank in. 3 minutes was not enough time to deploy the Prometheus protocol. They would be discovered, and then they would have to fight. A prototype vessel against the most powerful alien fleet humanity had yet encountered. "Then we'll have to create a distraction," Ilara decided. She turned to the navigation station. "Lieutenant Commander Rias, plot a course that will bring us to the focal point from behind Proxima's larger moon. We'll use its gravity well and radiation signature to mask our approach for as long as possible." "Yes, Captain," Rias acknowledged. fingers already calculating the complex trajectory. Lieutenant Chen, prepare the quantum disruptors and conventional weapon systems. When the Nix detect us, I want to give them something to think about. Aye, Captain, Chen replied, a hint of anticipation in her voice. Like many on the crew, she had personal scores to settle with the Nix. Ilara turned to her chief engineer, who had remained silent during the briefing. Commander Ortiz, I need every scrap of power you can give us when we make our move. Ortiz nodded gravely. The reactor modifications are complete. We can push to 127% of rated capacity for approximately 6 minutes before risking containment failure. That will have to be enough. Ilara straightened her shoulders and addressed the entire bridge crew. I won't lie to you. What we're attempting has never been done before. If we succeed, we create a fighting chance for Earth. If we fail, she let the statement hang in the air. Everyone knew what failure meant, not just for the Starfall and her crew, but potentially for the human species. Take us in, Mr. Rice. Battle stations. Throughout the ship, alert klaxons sounded as crew members moved efficiently to their combat positions. The Starfall's revolutionary adaptive armor system activated, nanomaterials flowing to reinforce critical areas. In the engine room, power systems hummed as the Iris drive, humanity's answer to the Nex's superior propulsion technology, prepared for potential high-energy maneuvers. The Starfall slipped silently through space, approaching Proxima Centauri's larger moon. On the tactical display, the Nix fleet continued their patrol patterns, unaware of the human vessel's presence. So far, the stealth systems were working perfectly. Approaching optimal position, Rise announced. ETA to focal point, 7 minutes. Dr. Dawn activated the Prometheus system, and deep within the Starfall, a complex array of quantum gravitational manipulators began to align. Based on principles discovered in the desperate study of recovered Nix technology, the Prometheus protocol was designed to do the impossible, create a localized distortion in the fabric of space-time that would disrupt the exotic particles the Nix used to power their devastating weapons. Prometheus initialization sequence underway. Amira reported. Field stabilizers at nominal levels. The tension on the bridge was palpable as the Starfall emerged from behind the moon and began its final approach to the calculated focal point. On the tactical display, the Nix fleet continued their regular patrol pattern. 5 minutes to optimal position. Rise updated. Still no indication that we've been detected, Chen added, monitoring the sensor readings carefully. Commander Torres moved to stand beside Ilara's command chair. Too easy, he murmured, echoing her own thoughts. The Nix had proven to be cunning opponents, often allowing human ships to approach before revealing their true strength. The Battle of Europa had been lost when supposedly undetected human vessels were suddenly illuminated by previously hidden Nix sensor platforms. Run a full spectrum analysis, Ilara ordered. Check for quantum fluctuations or gravitational anomalies. Lieutenant Chen worked quickly, her fingers dancing across her console. Suddenly, she stiffened. Captain, I'm detecting energy spikes from 3 of the destroyer-class vessels. They're changing course. They've spotted us, Torres stated grimly. Time to optimal position, Ilara demanded. 4 minutes, 17 seconds, Rise replied. Time until the Nix interceptors reach us. Chen's voice was tight. 3 minutes, 40 seconds. Ilara made her decision instantly. Disengage stealth systems. Transfer all available power to propulsion and weapons. Mr. Rise, push us to maximum acceleration toward the focal point. The Starfall's engines flared as the stealth field collapsed. The ship leaped forward, accelerating at a rate that would have crushed its crew if not for the inertial dampening fields. Next vessels adjusting course to intercept, Chen reported. They're charging weapon systems. Tactical analysis, Ilara commanded. The AI combat system responded instantly, its synthesized voice calm and precise. Analysis indicates Nix destroyer-class vessels are deploying standard interception pattern. Threat assessment. Critical. Recommended action. Evasive pattern Delta 7 with countermeasure deployment. Execute recommended action. Ilara ordered. Commander Ortiz, I need more power to the shields. I'm giving her all she's got, Captain, came Ortiz's response over the comm. Diverting emergency reserves now. The Starfall banked sharply, its hull vibrating as the inertial dampeners struggled to compensate for the extreme maneuver. Simultaneously, it released a cloud of quantum destabilized particles, a countermeasure developed specifically to confuse Nick's targeting systems. Nick's vessel's firing, Chen announced. The view screen flared as beams of coherent energy sliced through space toward the Starfall. The ship shuddered violently as one beam grazed its port side despite the evasive action. Direct hit to port shield array. Torres reported, studying the damage control display. Shield efficiency down to 82%. Return fire, Ilara commanded. Target the lead destroyer's propulsion systems. The Starfall's main weapons, particle accelerators that fired streams of exotic matter instead of conventional energy beams, responded instantly. Brilliant blue streams of light connected the human vessel to the approaching Nyx destroyer. Where they struck, the crystalline structure of the alien ship seemed to shimmer and distort. Minimal damage to target, Chen reported. Their adaptive defense fields are compensating. Time to focal point. 2 minutes, 30 seconds, Rise answered, his hands moving frantically across his console as he worked to maintain their approach vector despite the increasingly intense Nyx attack. Another hit rocked the ship, harder this time. Warning lights flashed across multiple stations. Starboard shields failing, Torres announced. Hull breach on Deck 4. Emergency containment fields engaged. Dr. Doan looked up from her station, her face tense. Captain, the Prometheus system is destabilizing due to the battle damage. If we sustain another direct hit to the starboard section, we could lose alignment completely. Ilara's mind raced through options, each less appealing than the last. They couldn't abandon the mission, not when they'd come so far. But they couldn't reach the focal point without sustaining more damage either. Mr. Reyes, she said finally, initialize the Iris drive for a micro-jump. Torres turned to her in alarm. Captain, using the Iris drive this close to a gravitational body is risky, yes, Ilara cut him off. But it's our only option. We need to reach that focal point before the Nyx can stop us. Reyes hesitated for only a moment before acknowledging the order. Calculating micro-jump parameters. The gravitational fluctuations from Proxima are making precise targeting difficult. Do your best, Lieutenant Commander. That's all any of us can do. As Reyes worked, the Nyx attack intensified. 2 more destroyers joined the engagement, their weapons creating a deadly crossfire. The Starfall twisted and turned, returning fire when possible, but the situation was rapidly deteriorating. Prometheus alignment at 72%, Dr. Doan reported. I need more time, Captain. Micro-jump calculated, Rise announced. But the margin for error is significant. We could end up anywhere within 1,000 kilometers of the focal point. That's close enough for government work, Ilara said grimly. Execute jump. Aye, Captain. Iris drive engaging in 3, 2, 1. The universe seemed to fold around the Starfall. For a fraction of a second that felt like eternity, the ship existed in a state between dimensions, neither fully in normal space nor completely outside it. Then reality reasserted itself with a violent shudder that sent several crew members sprawling. Jump complete, Reyes gasped, pulling himself back into his seat. We're within the focal zone, Captain. On the tactical display, the Nyx vessels were shown rapidly adjusting their positions, confused by the Starfall's impossible maneuver. The human vessel had effectively teleported a short distance, appearing directly where it needed to be. Status of the Prometheus system, Ilara demanded. Amira's fingers flew across her console. Alignment stabilizing. Gravitational lens forming. Captain, we did it. Prometheus is online and functional. A cheer went up across the bridge, quickly silenced as the tactical display updated. The Nix had recovered from their surprise and were now converging on the Starfall's position from all directions. The command carrier itself was moving into attack range. "They know something's wrong," Torres observed. "They're committing everything they have to stop us." "How long until Prometheus reaches full power?" Ilara asked. 90 seconds, Amira replied. "But Captain, the Nix will be in optimal firing range in less than 60. Ilara stood from her command chair. "Then we buy ourselves 30 seconds. Lieutenant Chen, target all weapons on the approaching destroyers. Commander Ortiz, I need every remaining scrap of power diverted to our defensive systems." "What about the command carrier?" Torres asked quietly. Ilara studied the massive Nix vessel on the tactical display. It was unlike anything they had encountered before, not merely larger than the destroyers, but fundamentally different in design. Where the destroyers resembled crystalline shards, the carrier had an organic quality to its structure, pulsing with internal energy. "We can't take on the carrier directly," she acknowledged. "But we don't need to. Once Prometheus activates, their entire technology base will be compromised." As if sensing her thoughts, the Nix command carrier suddenly accelerated, its massive form moving with unexpected speed. Energy readings spiked across the tactical display. "Captain," Chen called out, alarm evident in her voice, "the carrier is charging some kind of weapon. Energy signature is off the charts, nothing like we've seen before." "Time to Prometheus activation," Ilara demanded. 75 seconds, Amira replied, her voice strained. "And until the carrier can fire." Chen worked frantically at her console. 40 seconds, based on energy buildup patterns. Ilara made her final decision. "Mr. Reyes, plot a collision course with the Nix command carrier." A stunned silence fell over the bridge. "Captain?" Torres questioned, his voice barely audible. "You heard me, Commander. If we can't outrun that weapon, we'll make sure it never fires." She activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, this is the captain. Brace for maximum acceleration and prepare for potential impact scenarios." She turned to Dr. Dawn. "Will Prometheus still function if we're in motion?" Amira hesitated. "Theoretically, yes. The gravitational lens should maintain integrity as long as our acceleration remains below 15 Gs. But Captain, a direct collision with the carrier is a last resort." Ilara finished for her. "Mr. Reyes, maintain our heading but be prepared to execute evasive action at the last possible moment. We just need to convince them we're willing to sacrifice ourselves." Understanding dawned on Torres' face. A bluff. "Let's hope it's a convincing one." Ilara returned to her command chair. "All ahead full, Mr. Reyes. Let's show the Nix what humanity is made of." The Starfall surged forward, its engines straining as it accelerated directly toward the massive Nix command carrier. On the tactical display, the enemy destroyers scattered, clearly not expecting this suicidal maneuver. "The carrier's weapon is still charging," Chen reported. 30 seconds to firing capacity. "Prometheus status?" Ilara asked, her voice steady despite the rapidly approaching collision. 60 seconds to full activation, Amira answered. "Captain, we're not going to make it." "We'll make it," Ilara insisted. "Lieutenant Chen, focus all remaining weapons on the carrier's weapon emitter. We don't need to destroy it, just disrupt their firing sequence." The Starfall's weapon systems responded, lancing out with concentrated bursts of exotic particles. Against the carrier's defenses, they seemed insignificant, like throwing stones at a battleship. But Ilara was counting on precision, not raw power. "Impact on target," Chen confirmed. "Minimal damage, but wait, their weapon charge is fluctuating." "They're hesitating," Torres observed. "They can't understand why we'd sacrifice ourselves." "Because they don't understand humanity," Ilara replied. "Maintain course. Continue firing." The distance between the Starfall and the Nix command carrier rapidly diminished. On the main viewport, the alien vessel loomed impossibly large, its surface glittering with arcane energies. 20 seconds to impact, Rise announced, his voice tight with tension. Prometheus. 45 seconds. Amira responded. Still not enough time. The tactical display suddenly shifted as the next carrier began to move, attempting to evade the Starfall's suicide run. They're breaking off, Chen reported with surprise. The weapon charge is dissipating. They're redirecting power to their propulsion systems. They blinked, Torres said with grim satisfaction. Don't celebrate yet, Ilara cautioned. Adjust course to maintain intercept, Mr. Reyes. Keep the pressure on them. The Starfall matched the carrier's evasive maneuver, remaining on a collision course. The Nyx destroyers, meanwhile, had reorganized and were moving to protect their command vessel. Multiple Nyx destroyers on approach, Chen warned. They'll intercept us before we reach the carrier. Ilara studied the tactical situation. They had bought some time with their bold maneuver, but not enough. The Nyx destroyers would reach them before Prometheus could activate, and their combined firepower would overwhelm the Starfall's remaining defenses. Captain, Dr. Dawn called out suddenly. I believe I can accelerate the Prometheus activation sequence by bypassing several safety protocols. It's risky. We could lose containment of the gravitational lens, but it might give us what we need. Do it, Ilara ordered without hesitation. Amira's fingers flew across her console, making adjustments to the Prometheus system. Deep within the ship, the gravitational manipulators surged with additional power, their carefully calculated parameters shifting into a more unstable but potentially faster configuration. New estimate to activation, Ilara asked. 20 seconds, Amira replied, not looking up from her work. But the system is becoming highly unstable. Nyx destroyers in firing range in 15 seconds, Chen reported. The bridge fell silent as everyone realized what those numbers meant. They would have Prometheus online, but not before the Nyx could inflict potentially catastrophic damage to the Starfall. All power to forward shields, Ilara commanded. Prepare for impact. The Nyx destroyers opened fire simultaneously, their coordinated attack creating a web of destructive energy that converged on the Starfall. Despite the reinforced shields, the impact was devastating. The ship lurched violently, consoles exploding in showers of sparks, support beams cracking under the strain. Hull breaches on multiple decks. Torres shouted over the chaos. Primary power grid failing. Prometheus status, Ilara demanded, gripping her command chair as the ship shuddered around her. Amira's voice came through broken and distorted. 15 seconds to activation. But Captain, the containment field is collapsing. If it fails completely. Another hit interrupted her, more powerful than the first. The bridge lights failed, emergency systems activating to bathe the command center in dim red illumination. We've lost main power, Ortiz reported through the comm system. Switching to emergency reserves, but we're running on fumes, Captain. Ilara made her final decision. Divert all remaining power to the Prometheus system. Everything we have left. Captain, Torres objected. That includes life support and essential systems. Without them, without Prometheus, none of that matters. Ilara cut him off. Do it. Throughout the ship, lights dimmed and then failed completely. Life support systems shut down, the air growing still as circulation ceased. In the frigid darkness, the crew of the Starfall continued their duties by the light of emergency chemical luminescence, their breath-forming clouds in the rapidly cooling air. Power transfer complete, Amira reported, her voice barely audible over the failing communication system. Prometheus activation in 10 seconds. The Nyx destroyers, sensing victory, moved in for the kill. Their weapons charged for a final devastating barrage. 9, 8. Amira counted down. On the tactical display, the Nyx command carrier had recovered from its earlier evasive maneuver and was now bringing its mysterious weapon to bear once more. 7, 6. All hands, brace for impact, Ilara ordered, her voice steady despite everything. 5, 4. The Nyx fired. Energy beams lanced out from multiple vessels, converging on the wounded Starfall. 3, 2. Ilara closed her eyes, thinking of Earth, of everyone counting on them. 1. Prometheus activated. As the alien weapon's fire reached the Starfall, something unprecedented happened. The energy beams didn't impact the ship's failing shields. Instead, they simply ceased to exist, disappearing a few hundred meters from the human vessel as if they had never been. On the main viewport, a strange distortion spread outward from the Starfall in an expanding sphere. Where it touched the Nyx vessels, their crystalline structures began to dim and fluctuate. One by one, their weapons went silent. Their propulsion systems failed. The command carrier itself, moments from firing its mysterious weapon, suddenly drifted powerless in space, its energy signature rapidly diminishing. "It's working," Amira whispered in awe. "The gravitational lens is distorting the quantum field just as we theorized. Their technology depends on exotic particle manipulation, and we've just changed the rules of physics in this region of space." Across the bridge, despite the darkness and cold, smiles broke out on exhausted faces. They had done it. Against impossible odds, humanity had found a way to fight back. But their victory was not without cost. The Prometheus system, never designed to channel so much power, was rapidly destabilizing. "Captain," Amira reported urgently, "the gravitational lens is becoming unstable. At current progression, we have less than 2 minutes before catastrophic failure. Can we shut it down?" Ilara asked. "Negative. The feedback loop is self-sustaining now. When it collapses," she didn't need to finish. Everyone knew what would happen. An explosion that would likely destroy the Starfall and everything nearby. Ilara stared at the disabled Nyx fleet on the tactical display. They had won this battle, but the war was far from over. The Prometheus technology needed to reach Earth, to be reproduced and deployed throughout human space. "Commander Torres," she said quietly, "prepare to abandon ship. All personnel to escape pods. Priority 1 is to ensure Dr. Dawn and all Prometheus data reach Earth Command." "Captain," Torres questioned, though he already understood. "Someone needs to maintain the Starfall's position until the last possible moment." Ilara explained, "To ensure maximum effect on the Nyx fleet and to give the escape pods time to clear the blast radius." "I'll stay," Torres volunteered immediately. Ilara shook her head. "The crew will need you to coordinate their return to Earth. This is my responsibility." Before Torres could object further, she activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, this is Captain Voss. Abandon ship. Repeat, all hands abandon ship. This is not a drill." Throughout the darkened vessel, crew members moved with practiced efficiency despite the circumstances. Emergency protocols activated, directing personnel to their designated escape pods. "Go," Ilara ordered her bridge crew. "That's a direct order." One by one, they reluctantly complied, Torres being the last to leave after a final salute to his captain. As the bridge emptied, Ilara settled back into her command chair, along with the failing systems of her ship and the knowledge that her sacrifice would give humanity a fighting chance. On the tactical display, she watched as the escape pods launched, small dots of hope speeding away from the doomed Starfall. Among them was Pod 7, carrying Dr. Dawn, and the precious Prometheus data. If they could reach Earth, if the technology could be replicated. The gravitational lens was collapsing faster now, the distortion field beginning to fluctuate violently. On the disabled Nyx vessels, emergency systems were activating as their technology slowly began to function again. "Not fast enough," Ilara murmured to herself with grim satisfaction. She had done her duty. She had given humanity hope. As the Prometheus system reached critical instability, Captain Ilara Voss closed her eyes and thought of Earth, of blue skies and vast oceans that the Nyx would never now destroy. The Starfall erupted in a sphere of impossible light, a miniature sun birthed from human ingenuity and sacrifice. When the light faded, the Nyx command carrier and its escort of destroyers had been reduced to drifting debris, and somewhere among the stars, escape pods carrying the survivors of the starfall sped toward Earth, bearing with them the key to humanity's survival. The battle was won. The war for Earth's future had only just begun. Defiance Protocol. Darkness enveloped Ilara, a total absence of light that seemed to press in from all sides. Then a pinprick of illumination, growing, expanding, resolving into the harsh glare of medical lights. Pain followed consciousness, radiating from her chest and left arm. The steady beep of monitoring equipment filled her ears. "She's coming around," a voice announced. Familiar, but not immediately placeable. Captain Voss, can you hear me?" Ilara forced her eyes to focus. Dr. Amira Dolan's face hovered above her, concern evident in her expression. Behind her stood Commander Torres, his scared face set in its habitual grim mask. "I'm alive," Ilara managed, her voice harassed. "How?" "Emergency teleport system," Torres explained. "Dr. Dawn refused to leave without you. She overrode the safety protocols and locked onto your biosignature seconds before the Starfall's destruction." Memories flooded back, the desperate battle, the activation of Prometheus, ordering the evacuation. The crew, 92% accounted for, Torres replied. "We lost engineering teams 2 and 4 when the port section collapsed. Commander Ortiz is in critical condition, but stable. And Prometheus." Amira stepped closer. "The data is secure, Captain. More importantly, we now have proof that the concept works." The Nyx fleet was completely neutralized. Ilara attempted to sit up, wincing as pain shot through her chest. A medical officer stepped forward to adjust her position, raising the head of the bed. "Where are we?" she asked, noting the unfamiliar surroundings. The room was clearly a medical bay, but not one she recognized from any Earth facility. "The ESS Defiant," Torres answered. "Earth's newest deep space carrier. They intercepted our distress signal and rendezvoused with the escape pods 48 hours after the battle. You've been unconscious for 6 days." Ilara processed this information. 6 days lost. 6 days during which the Nyx could have regrouped, could have launched another attack. "Status of Earth. Has there been any further Nyx activity?" Torres and Amira exchanged a glance that sent a chill through Ilara's heart. "Earth is holding," Torres said carefully. "The orbital defense grid has been reinforced with a new quantum disruption technology derived from the preliminary Prometheus data we transmitted. But there's something you need to know, Captain. The Starfall's action wasn't just a tactical victory," Amira continued when Torres hesitated. "It opened up an entirely new understanding of the Nyx. When Prometheus activated, it didn't just disable their technology. It allowed us to access their communication network briefly." Ilara's eyes widened. "You intercepted Nyx communications." "More than that," Amira said, her voice dropping. "For approximately 12 seconds before the system collapsed, we effectively became part of their network. What we learned changes everything." Torres nodded to a nearby officer who activated a wall display. Complex schematics appeared, designs that were clearly Nyx in origin, but annotated with human analysis. "The Nyx aren't what we thought," Torres explained. "They're not a naturally evolved species. They're artificial." "Artificial?" Ilara echoed, struggling to comprehend. "You're saying there's some kind of a—" "Not exactly," Amira clarified. "Based on the data we recovered, the crystalline entities we've been fighting are biological-technological hybrids, living ships grown and controlled by something else, something at the center of their network. The Nexus," Torres added, "a central intelligence that connects and controls all Nyx entities. Think of the ships we've been fighting as extensions, appendages of a single organism." Ilara studied the schematics, her tactical mind already processing the implications. If there's a central control system, that means there's a central point of vulnerability. "Exactly," Amira confirmed. The nexus is located in what we previously designated as the Cygnus Void, a region of space where our long-range sensors couldn't penetrate. Now we know why. The Nyx have established a quantum interference field around their central hub. But with Prometheus technology, Torres continued, we might be able to penetrate that field. More importantly, we might be able to disrupt the nexus itself. Ilara leaned back against her pillows, mind racing. The revelation transformed their understanding of the enemy they'd been fighting for years. It wasn't an alien civilization seeking to expand its territory or eliminate competition. It was something else entirely, something perhaps more comprehensible, but no less dangerous. What does Earth Command propose? She asked finally. Torres straightened to attention, his posture shifting subtly. That's why we're here, Captain. The Defiant has been tasked with a direct assault on the Nexus, and you've been given command of the mission. Me? Ilara blinked in surprise. I'm not even cleared for duty. Medical disagrees, said a new voice from the doorway. A tall, distinguished man in an admiral's uniform entered the room. Admiral Chen. Maya Chen's father and the commander of Earth's combined defense forces. Admiral. Ilara attempted to sit straighter despite her injuries. At ease, Captain, Chen said, approaching her bed. Your medical team assures me you'll be fully recovered within 48 hours, thanks to our new regeneration protocols. And we need you for this mission. No one understands the Nyx or the Prometheus technology better than you and your team. The Defiant has been equipped with an enhanced version of the Prometheus system, Amira added excitedly. Based on what we learned from the Starfall's data, we've improved the gravitational lens focus and stability. Theoretical models suggest we can maintain a continuous disruption field for up to 17 minutes. But reaching the Nexus won't be easy, Torres cautioned. The Cygnus Void is heavily defended, and we have to assume the Nyx are already adapting to counter Prometheus. Admiral Chen nodded gravely. Which is why we're not going alone. The Defiant will lead a battle group, 5 of our most advanced vessels, all equipped with preliminary Prometheus technology. Ilara absorbed this information, weighing the risks against the potential reward. If they could strike at the heart of the Nyx collective, they might end the war in a single decisive action. But the cost of failure would be catastrophic. Earth's last remaining capital ships lost, along with the improved Prometheus technology. There's something else you should know, Amira said, her voice hesitant. During our brief connection to the Nyx network, we detected anomalous communication patterns, signals that didn't match the primary Nyx protocols. Meaning? Ilara prompted. Meaning there may be factions within the Nyx collective, Amira explained. Elements that operate with some degree of autonomy from the Nexus, perhaps even in opposition to it. Rebels, Torres suggested skeptically. Or something analogous, Amira replied.